Hi, all, and welcome to Monday night's Treasure Vortex with Gypsy from Zero Discrimination, myself, Amanda Degaz, and we have special guest tonight, Matt Jones. No introductions or anything needed right now. So, hey, Gypsy, how are you?
I'm doing okay. Trying to settle in after my move. Things have been a little crazy, but um, it's going. I did manage though yesterday to get out for a while with
Ooh,
one of my old hunting buddies from East Texas. Hadn't
awesome.
detected with him in quite some time, and he had messaged me. He heard I was moving and said, "Hey, you free?" And ended up meeting up with him, and we got the spot. Metal detected for a while, and um, I got a few keepers, but the whole spot. The only thing about detecting old spots, it's all wonderful and fine when you've got some old spots, but when there is newer activity on these spots, it makes the treasure hunting not fun. We must have dug 50, 60 cans between us,
Oh,
aluminum cans. We dug, I can't tell you how many pull tabs, and so a lot of modern trash. But it was funny. I went back through after we detected one area that had been cleared, and we both cleaned out all the pull tabs. I went back through and with my Apex, and I popped a 1906 Indian head, so that was nice.
oh, that's awesome.
And got a toe tap. That was cool. So I got a few little goodies, but I don't know. You know how sometimes you get out and you really. I was so excited about the spot because there was glass shards everywhere, old bricks. Uh, the owner had pulled up and talked to us and told us that where the current office was on the property is where an old doctor used to live. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a great spot. And then it turned out to be, uh, I think he ended up with like a piece from an old potbelly stove and an old plow. And that was about it. I even got a horseshoe. Thought I was going to have some good luck. But anyway, you know how we always have some of those hunts. But I would like to go back to the location. There's still a lot to explore. And who knows?
Yeah,
Might get on something good. Just
now that,
never know. Now
yeah,
we
now,
cleaned all the trash.
yes, yes. I was just gonna say, now that
Taking
you've
out the
gotten the
trash.
trash out, yep.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, not much hunting because of moving and stuff. And I'm still
Hmm.
living out of my suitcase, trying to unpack a few things. So um, after I get all that finished, hopefully soon, um, I'll be a bit more. But I am tomorrow night. I'm at the Henderson Club. Um, me um, at the Texas Treasure Show and taking music on Tuesday night. Hear some quotes about that you're beyond the Cohen episode. And I said, let me see. I didn't know what my was going to be like. And
Oh no,
I'm
Gypsy,
doing
you're starting to go in and out.
good.
No good.
Okay.
You there?
Need you to hang up call again.
No, I can uh let's see. Um Now you're saying Texas Treasure Show? Something about that?
Yeah. Um, I was just um, everybody
Nope. Yeah,
in and out.
you're going out.
Okay, hang up.
Yep, I will call you back in. All right. So technical difficulties. We will get Gypsy back in here and let's try it again.
Is that better?
Yay, I can hear you.
Okay, let's hope it stays okay. If I start breaking up, just let me know, and
Yep.
we can try to call back in. Unfortunately, right now I haven't got my phone switched over, and I'm trying to run off one. I've got one bar at the moment, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll make one bar work.
We'll make do. We'll make do.
Exactly. So you were saying about the Texas Treasure Show.
So I was just saying at the Texas Treasure Show, somebody snagged me and said, "Hey, can you come speak at the Henderson Club?" And so I ended up getting roped into that tomorrow night, so it'll be fun. I'm going to talk about the Beyond the Island episode, and so anyway, yeah.
Yeah, that was an exciting episode. Can't wait. I know we'll be talking about that in a another episode, right? We'll be touching on it.
Right.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Well,
All right. I
should
think it's
we?
time to bring in our guest. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Everyone give a warm welcome to Matt Jones.
What's happening?
Hey, Matt.
Hey. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think last time, let's see, did we have you on with Pete last time?
Yep.
Okay. So this is the first time we've had you on by yourself, so we can it'll be easier to ask a few of our questions that we'd like to ask our guest on a more personal level.
Sure.
To get to know you better. So we'll just dive right in. Is that okay with y'all?
Fine with me. I'd love to do some diving. I know that. I wish the weather would warm up a little bit.
That's definitely one thing. Yeah, Matt was recently down here in Texas, and we were hoping to, I know that y'all had found a place by the lake and hoping to do some diving. And unfortunately, Texas got a little freeze, and it got cold, and the water got cold, and guess what? It warmed up. It was 80 degrees yesterday when I got out, and then today it's back to 40. Today we got another cold front moved in, so I guess winter's just not done here in Texas. It can't make up its mind. But speaking of diving, well, first go ahead, Amanda. Let's start out with our kind of typical questions so our audience can get to know. If you don't mind starting us out.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Matt, how long have you been treasure hunting, and what types of treasure hunting do you enjoy doing?
Oh, so I've been metal detecting since 1992. It's been quite a few years. I don't even know how many years. It's over 20. I've tried the magnet fishing thing. It's not really for me. I enjoy scuba diving. Been scuba diving for a few years now, maybe 3 years. And, I just really enjoy detecting, Civil War relics and colonial relics. Not much on like the whole park thing, or not really much on beach detecting. I've tried it, but all I can seem to find is pull tabs and bottle caps. I can't find gold rings like everybody else. So, diving and relic hunting are my two go-tos. Summertime, I'm in the water pretty much 5 days a week.
Wow.
No, that's awesome. How did you get into diving?
Well, it's something I've always wanted to do. I knew that there was things in the water. I've had places that I've detected on land, and I just always knew that there had to be stuff, in the water. I mean, I would wade in there, but then, you get to places that were, 20 or 30 feet, and, you couldn't see down there, but in the back of your mind, you just always know that there's got to be stuff hiding down there. And so, about 3 years ago, I made it a goal to become certified, and I jumped off in it full force, and man, it's been a very, very successful venture thus far. Man, I have found a ton of stuff, diving.
So, Alan in chat asked, where do you dive, do much of your diving at, and do you live close to water?
I've never been in the ocean. I want to go try that. I'd like to go dive on what's called the Meg Ledge out off the coast of Wilmington. You can get a charter and you can go. It's like, I don't even know, 60 miles offshore and dive in the Meg Ledge, which is like 120 foot down. You can find the Megalodon shark teeth just because I'd like to experience it. But, around here, I live near a bunch of rivers and creeks. They range anywhere from 10 foot to 50 foot in holes. It's all black water, mostly black water. You have, an inch or two of visibility most of the time. On a good day in July, you might get a foot, but it's still pretty dark down there. But it's just, any river and any creek nearby that I can jump in that's over my head, I'm all for it.
Well, tell us, Matt, for the audience, a lot of them that don't know you, tell them where you live, too, so that'll give them a better idea.
So I live in eastern North Carolina. I'm about an hour from any beach. I'm about 10 minutes from the Tar River, 20 minutes from the Neuse River. We can find fossils or Civil War relics or colonial relics really, within minutes of the house. So, we're in a prime area in North Carolina to find just about anything. We can find gold because there's gold in places up around Nashville, which is about 45 minutes north of me. So, we're really right in the heart of like treasure country.
Yeah, you are.
Neat.
You
cool.
Absolutely are. So when you go down, and you say it's that dark, are you using a light? How are you searching?
So when you jump in the water, it's kind of I guess it's kind of nerve wracking in a sense. So you get on the boat. Sometimes we go under a bridge, where we can enter from land. But we like to try to get on a boat, a John boat, or like a little Boston whaler or something like that. And so, when you fall off the boat, it's nerve wracking because you can't really see what's under the water. So you don't know if you're going to land on a tree or you're going to get impaled or land on an alligator. I mean, you don't know. And so when you fall off, basically you just deflate and you just sink to the bottom. And then once you hit the bottom, then you turn your light on. I wear a spectrum mask, which is a full face mask, and I have two lights mounted on both sides. And then when I hit the bottom, I just flip my lights on and I stay on the bottom the whole time and search what's down there and, just monitor my air, my depth gauge. And
how deep are you usually going?
Typically, you don't really get into anything much deeper around here in the rivers, more than about 20 foot. But now if you get in if you get in a bend of a river, we have fell off in holes that are about 50 or 60 foot.
Whoa.
And then when you get down there, of course there's trees and logs and giant catfish and, all kinds of other stuff to get snagged on.
Right. Well, we had a question in chat. Is the black water that you dive in, is it usually fast moving or slow moving? Or does it depend?
It depends. I've been in both. You would think the deeper that you go, the current wouldn't be so bad, but it is in certain spots. Typically you can get under the current from what I've experienced. Typically if you get deeper than about 20 foot, you can get actually like under the current, but then, as you're swimming along back up river or back down river, you eventually come back up in elevation and then you're caught in that current again. So you got to make sure that you have good fins. You definitely don't want to dive black water if you've never done it before. You always want to dive with a buddy, never do it alone. I mean, it is dangerous, but it's fun. It's something I enjoy doing, and I'm going to keep right on doing it until I can't do it no more.
That's great. That's great. Now,
so, go ahead.
I was going to say, when you're down there, do you use a detector at all when you're in there?
So I have tried to use a detector. There's a couple, like I'll give you an example, so last year we found a place, local to here, and we drove down to under the bridge. There's like a big sandbar, and we got in the water. We deflated, and we basically followed the sandbar all the way down until it turned into hard pan. Real rocky and hard pan. And we found some of the old bridge pillars from the original Civil War bridge that went across there. And so around these bridge pillars, there's tons of rock, and then there's like I call them fish bowls. They're bowls that are like carved into the clay that the water's made, and you can fan those bowls, make the sand come out, and then laying in these bowls is everything heavy, bullets, round balls, marbles, coins, anything of that nature. But you can't really use a detector because there's so much freaking iron down there. I mean, when you go down, you see all the nails that were from the bridges. I mean, you would think that the water would wash them away, but what happens is this heavy stuff falls into these fish bowls, and it just stays there. It just gets covered up with sand, and then it never leaves. We found, last year, I'll give you a quick story. Last year I was swimming along, finding a bunch of bottles, and I look down and I see this long rectangular looking thing. And I knew what I thought it was in the back of my head, I was like, there's no way it can be that. And I grabbed it, and then when I grabbed it and picked it up, I started hollering underwater. I mean, you couldn't understand it, but it was a CS tongue. And I didn't have anywhere to put it. So I wear a backpack on my chest that's got a bunch of zippers on it that I put my bottles in.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to lose it. So I was like thinking, should I swim back up to the truck and put it in the truck? So I stuck it in the sleeve of my wetsuit. And like every 10 minutes, I was like patting my wrist to make sure that thing was still in there,
Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that would make sense. You don't think about like the bridges and, any of the boats or anything like that that might have sunk or been left, all the iron that's there. So that makes absolute sense.
I mean, maybe if you had like an AT Max or something that was, that was this cut down one, like kind of like Bo uses, this or something that's discriminating, like a Degaz 2 or something, it might work. But most of the depths that you're at, even my GoPro. So if I don't put my GoPro in the little, the hard shell casing that you use for diving, the power button will get stuck down. The same as on a Carrot Garrett. So more than 20 foot, my Carrot Garrett, ever how you say it, the orange pinpointer, the button gets stuck down because the pressure's holding it down. So
the pressure, yes.
Yeah.
Wow. So I had another question for you, and right now I can't think what it was.
Well, we can get into the, crazy finds and stuff too that you've had. Like, what's
Sure.
the favorite bottle that you've found so far?
Oh man, I mean, there's every city has a dump on land just about, and so normally most dumps are located near a body of water, whether it be a lake or a river or a creek or whatever, and so over time as land erodes, the dump falls into the water and then it gets lost. So I found, tons of early beers, straight side of Pepsi, straight side of Cokes, Tonneau Bottles. Probably my favorite find. There's a place here local that had a lot of colonial history in it, and I was finding, broke mallets and broke onion bottles, from the early 1700s. And I went one day by myself, shouldn't do, but went by myself. I wasn't that deep. I was probably 15 foot or so. And I'm swimming along, and I see like the neck of an early, black glass bottle sticking out of sand.
Ooh.
And so I pulled on it, and thinking it was just a neck, and it wouldn't come out. So then, like the back of my mind, I'm thinking, damn, this could be like a whole, early onion or something. So I start fanning, fan the sand away, and it's a whole chestnut, which is the earliest made American bottle you can find here. It's like 1740s. It's got one hole in the back about the size of a silver dollar. And, that's probably my favorite bottle thus far diving is that chestnut.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. So we did have another question in chat. Alan was curious if you found any cannonballs too.
We have. So there's been, so Nugget Noggin, Michael came down to hunt with me one day, and he found like a carbine, some kind of carbine rifle barrel, and we threw that up on land. And then as soon as I went back down, I basically landed on a 12-pound solid shot. And then I showed it to him. We threw that up on the bank, and we swam around that area and fanned. And then he found a 12-pound solid, and then I found another 12-pound solid. So we ended up with 3 cannonballs that day and a carbine barrel.
Awesome.
But we found probably 6 or 7, so far in the 3 years. We haven't really been looking for cannonballs, but when we go down, we look for anything that's down there, anything besides
right.
Right. Found a bunch of guns, bunch of pistols that were used in crimes or murders or whatever. Most of them have been turned over to the police. There was one. I have one stagecoach shotgun. It's looks like a sawed-off shotgun. It's only about 18 inches long. It's double-barreled, and it's percussion. So it's fairly old. I kept that when I put it. It was falling apart, so I put it in like an epoxy mold, and it's sitting in my display now.
Oh, nice. That's sweet. Yeah, I was often wondered. I know that different waters can preserve things different ways.
Oh, sure.
And then I was just curious if any of the wood was still left on there, or was it pretty much just falling to pieces?
Well, so like the places closest to me are freshwater, and I found some single barrel shotguns, that I assume were stolen, in the early 1900s and chunked in the river. And the wood on them was still there. They were under like silt and sand and everything else. But now the sawed-off shotgun that I found, the stagecoach gun, that river was brackish, so it's a mixture of fresh and salt. And when I saw it there, it was cocooned. Like when you dig something out of the ground and it rusts really bad, it kind of cocoons. And I thought it was a gun, but, I wasn't sure. I thought it might just be a rock that looked like a gun. So, I got it out, and I got it up to the truck, and I let it dry out, and I tapped on it to try to knock that cocoon off. And there is wood in there, but it's like there's not much left, So brackish water, salt water, it tends to, eat the wood away. But fresh water, so far, anything with wood on it has been there.
Very neat. We have another question from one of our chats.
My chat's down for right now, so I can't.
Okay, I'll. So, Patriot Cowboy was curious if you've ever done any shipwrecks or anything of that nature.
I have not. I have not been. Like I said, I've not been in the ocean.
Not been in the ocean.
I know. Shipwrecks are a touchy subject. Most shipwrecks are owned by someone. You can go down and look, but you can't take anything. Like, you could go dive on like the Queen Anne's Revenge, but you can't take anything off of it because it's, historically preserved.
Right.
Now we have found some boats, old 1900 boats, like cargo ships or steamers or stuff like that, in the rivers around here. We found one last year. Me and Michael and Thomas, it was about 115 foot long. There was nothing left of it but the sides and, the bottom. But we found about 40,000 tokens on that. We have theories of how they got there. We don't think they were actually on the boat. We think that there was a bridge that went across there in the 1900s and somebody was running like an illegal gambling scam, and the tax man was after them, so they chunked everything off the river, off the bridge, and it just happened to land on this boat.
That's awesome.
That was fun.
That's funny that you say that. So when I lived in Galveston, and I used to metal detect the water there, me and a bunch of the local detectorists, there was a pier where there used to be an old restaurant there, which was I was trying to think of the name. I think it's called the Balinese Room. and it's no longer there. It got taken out by the last hurricane, but it was really neat. If you ever got to go in the building, my brother did some work on it before it had gotten swept away. They were redoing it, and there were these holes in the floor. And what they would do is the gambling machines would be on top. And if they were to get raided, they would flip the machine over so it would be hidden underneath. And the stuff, the tokens and coins and stuff that were inside the machines would fall into the water.
Oh, wow.
So who knows? There could have been, like you said, across the bridge, or who knows, maybe there was a little illegal gambling on the boat off the shoreline there or something. Who knows? That's interesting.
Well, we definitely think that it was some sort of, some sort of slot machine, because we found a lot of silver, but all the silver had holes in them. And then we found a lot of lead slugs that had like a mercury head pressed into them or something like that. And then we found these little, keys that had the key part broken off. It was just the round part left. And from what I understand, people would tie a string to these coins and they drop them in the slot machine and then yank them back out to get a free play. From my understanding of it.
Wow,
so
it was definitely something to do with slots and gambling of some sort, definitely. That's really neat, though. There's probably more down there. Just a matter of...
Oh, there is. There's a ton down there. And, it's funny because I've talked to a couple of people, that live here locally that have dived, these rivers and these creeks for years. And, I mentioned that spot, and a couple of people were like, oh, man, we hit that place in the 80s, didn't find anything. And, it's because it was, under 10 foot of sand and, a flood just happened to uncover it. And, there it was.
It's crazy. That is too cool, though. Yeah, you just never know what these storms and stuff that sweep away things, away that. It's what's so cool about metal detecting and diving and all that. I know you've got some more questions, I think, Amanda.
Yeah, I do. So you were talking about the megalodon teeth. And now, do you enjoy fossil hunting too while you're out there, or do any of that in the creek beds?
Absolutely. Me and Thomas Barnes, we try to like split it up in the summer. Half fossils and half bottles. And like I said, there's fossils everywhere. I mean, you can dig for them, you can dive for them. We created this, or he created, and I helped him build it. This little, we call it a fossil rake. When people go fossil hunting, they typically take a shovel and a sifter, and it's just it's big and bulky. You got to carry both pieces with you, and so we we took a pitchfork and basically welded a basket on the end of it. And now it's, you can just use the pitchfork as your shovel, and then there's a sifter built into it, and, it's all in one. So you don't have, half the stuff you take with you. And you can find makos and great whites and, big meg teeth and vertebrae and whalebone, fossilized wood or petrified wood. I mean, there's just,
oh, wow.
We're right in the heart of just about everything. So, yeah, I mean, I love fossil hunting. I love it. There's nothing like diving down there and seeing a 5-inch meg laying there, and you got to pick it up, and you're the first person to touch that in 40 million years.
Yeah,
incredible, absolutely incredible. And that was another thing you mentioned earlier when you're diving is the backpack and wear it around the front. I'd never thought to do that because to me, I bought one of those little mesh diving bags that hinges and opens, but that can be kind of a pain at times. I think to have that attached and it's right there and you can just unzip it a little, plop that down in there. That's great for bottles.
So you can get one of those, I started out with one of those bags like you're talking about. It's like a cloth mesh, it's real long, and it's got like the little aluminum handle thingies on the top,
Yeah, I bought one,
The problem with that is, so if you hang it on your BC and it's right there in your chest, when you put a bottle in there, and you're swimming along the bottom, that bottle's just dragging the bottom, hitting all the rocks, and it hardly ever survives. And so I wanted to come up with a way to make it so they wouldn't break. And, they sell things like commercial tool bags. They're like yellow. They got a zipper on the top. They got drain holes in the bottom, but I didn't like that. So I got on Amazon, and it's called a shoulder bag or something like that. It goes like diagonally across your body. It's made to carry like a handgun and, some ammo and a couple extra magazines. They're like $20 on Amazon. And on all four corners of it, it's got a D-ring made into it. And so I just take a carabiner and put it in those D-rings, and then I attach it to my chest, and it's got, 4 pouches on it. So I can stick a bottle in there, zip it up, and it stays right on my chest. It doesn't drag the bottom. So,
oh, wow. That's
if you ever
very
get
cool.
certified, I'll show you.
All right. It's on my to-do list for sure. Supposed to do that not too long ago, and things didn't work out, unfortunately.
2 years ago here.
Yeah. So, Matt, you said you've been treasure hunting, metal detecting for over, since 92 now. What kind of metal detector did you start out with? And then take us kind of through the different types of machines and stuff, and then we'll get to maybe some of your favorite metal detecting finds too.
Oh, man. So I started out with a Nautilus DMC. I think it was a Nautilus DMC. It was given to me by somebody, and it had a curved shaft on it, so it was a real wrist breaker. And I hunted with that for, I don't even know, 2 or 3 years, I guess. It had a grunt and what was called a ping. So it was grunt for iron and ping for everything else. And I dug a lot of stuff with it. I know I wasn't getting but a couple inches down. But most young bucks nowadays, have never even heard of a Nautilus. And then, so Tesoro was, big back then. So I went from a Nautilus to a Tesoro Cibola. It was the green one. And I found a guy on TreasureNet, when Facebook forums were a big thing. And I found a guy on TreasureNet and got him to mod my Cibola. So he added like a manual ground balance to it so I could, punch deeper in the ground. And I hunted with that thing for forever. I mean, for a long time. And I got really good at it. And then somebody came up to me and they said, I went to a DIV in Culpeper and I was trying to use that Cibola, and they were like, they saw me struggling. This was before the pulse induction machines ever came out. And he had a white, blue, and gray. It had a meter on it. And he said, try this, man. He's like, this will punch deeper in this ground than that Cibola will. So I tried the blue and gray. I still struggled with it, but I found a few things. And then when I got back home, I bought a white, blue, and gray. Again, that thing weighed like 40 pounds. It had like 8 AA batteries in it. I mean, it was super heavy. But it was deep, and I still have it today. And then I don't remember. I don't remember what I went from after the blue and gray. But I know when XP came out with the Deus, I switched to a Deus for a little while. Didn't really care for the Deus. A lot of people rave about it, how it's this and that. And it is great in like a heavy iron infested area. But I just could never get the hang of it. And then they came out with the ORX, and I have stuck with the ORX basically as my go-to machine since it came out. And I couldn't tell you when that was, but I just like it. And then for shells, if I'm in the swamp looking for artillery or Civil War stuff, I prefer the Technetics T2. Again, it's an old school machine, but I don't think there's anything deeper than a T2 on an artillery shell, as to where XP is not really made for iron. And then if I'm in the water or a creek or something, I prefer to switch to my, AT Pro or my AT Gold. It's about the same for everything. There's a certain machine for each kind of hunting. It's like tools in a toolbox.
Exactly.
One day you might need a 12 millimeter, the next day you might need a 10 millimeter. Different machines for different things.
That's so true. And I have people ask me all the time, what machine should I get? I'm going to be doing this kind of hunting, this kind of hunting, this kind of hunting. I'm like, well, I use this machine for this type of hunting and this machine for this type of hunting. And they're like, why do you have so many machines? It's exactly right. You have to have, it's different tools for different things that do the job the best.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, why can't I just buy one detector and it do it all? Well, there's just some machines that do some things better than others, and that's why it's good to have a variety.
Absolutely.
Amanda and I have a lot of different detectors for different things. But so let's see. Patriot Cowboy's curious, what type of wetsuit is it that you wear? And
so like let's see, what is it, March? So about end of April, I'll start getting in the water, and it'll, it is chilly. It'll be somewhere in probably the high 60s, mid 60s to high 60s. And I'll wear a 7 millimeter wetsuit. And then as, time goes on, we get into like June or July, I'll either not wear a wetsuit at all. I'll just go with shorts and no shirt on, and throw all my stuff on, or I'll put on like a little bodysuit, which is basically just like a skin, that just keeps you from getting chafed or whatever. But in the summer, I don't wear a wetsuit. I just prefer to go, no, just shorts and a no shirt. I mean, just the water's, high 80s, and it feels great. And, if you go after like a rain, and that wash off, that runoff comes out of fields and gets into the water. I have had times to where you get like, you break out kind of, I guess it's from the crap that runs off into the river, so then I'll throw on a bodysuit for like the next week until it clears up.
Yeah, the duck ick and the other, I forget what the other term of it is, and then you've got that River Creek smell too.
Oh yeah.
It's too funny. Yeah, and too, I guess you're most of the time, diving in freshwater, which is so different from, diving in salt. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And while you're still, now that, we're talking about diving and whatnot, and I just took a look at the clock. We'll get into your favorite things, favorite finds or whatnot in a little bit, but there's a new hunt coming up, right?
There is.
Can you tell us a little bit?
Sure. So, we wanted to branch out to the diving community. Most people that are into diving, they pay these big bucks to go on these charters. They get on a boat, they go out in the ocean, they dive on a wreck. They get to look at the fish and the sharks and everything, but, they don't get to keep anything, so it's just, swimming around with nature. So we wanted to incorporate diving into dig stock. And so we kind of came out with the dig stock dive and dig. Basically what we did is we leased a quarry, in Ottawa, Ohio. It's called Gilboa Quarry. This quarry ranges from 20 foot to, I think the deepest point out there is like 148 foot. The majority of the quarry is 20 to 30 foot. And what we're going to do basically is July 30th, we're going to bury $5,000 in silver and gold in the quarry, and we're going to give everybody a note to pulse dive to use, and divers, and we're going to let them go down and basically do a big underwater seated hunt. This first of its kind. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We're hoping that it'll do pretty good. And at the same time, we didn't want to exclude our metal detectors, people that come to our events that like seated hunts. So we've leased a 17-acre farm right across the street from Gilboa Quarry. And out there, we're going to put $10,000 in silver and gold and tokens, for metal detectors to find. So it's open to both land and water. Lots of giveaways at this. Most everything will be water machines. Garrett has donated some water machines. Fisher's donated water machines. XP's donated a Degaz 2. Notes and Macro has donated, water machines. We've got a couple of diving companies that are on board that are going to give us a dive computer and, some goggles and snorkels. And so it's going to be a different event, than anything anybody's ever seen. And we hope it turns out to be a good thing.
That's awesome. Now, so everyone knows, in the description of the show, the Digstock events web page is there, and that's where you can go and purchase tickets and stuff.
Yep. And now, I will say, if you want to participate in the diving portion of it, we do require that you have to be a certified diver. You have to carry a valid sea card. The quarry itself doesn't allow any free divers or blue Nemos or hookahs or anything like that. For safety aspects of it, everybody has to have a buddy diver, which will pair somebody up. And then, like I say, we'll make sure that all divers do have a machine to use. And in that ticket price, we'll include 2 tanks. We'll feed everybody. We'll do the giveaways, and it includes entry into the park. And if anybody, wants to purchase tickets for it, they can get them from, digstockevents.com. That information on the quarries up there, how to purchase tickets are up there, where to stay, where to eat. This quarry was a active quarry. It started in 1898. And then it quit operation in the 1920s, I believe. So there's no telling what could be in the field across the road. We haven't tested it. It's not a natural hunt. It's a seeded hunt. But there's no telling, what could actually be on that property because it is so old.
Yeah, or what's in that quarry. If there's, back
Sure.
in the day, they went swimming there. So there's a chance of finding natural finds too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. I wish I was closer to Ohio.
So this information, you already have it up on your website on digstock.com.
Yep, digstockevents.com. All the information is up there on the website where they can purchase tickets for the diving portion of it or the digging portion of it.
Okay, great.
We are on this.
So, folks, that's digstockevents.com.
Yep.
Okay, digstockevents.com. You can check out more information, look at the ticket pricing, be sure and check that out. And I do believe that the upcoming North Carolina hunt, that one is already closed on tickets, or there's still a few maybe available if someone wanted to last minute change their mind and come. How's that going?
We are sold out on that event. That event is over and done with now.
Okay. Well, great. Well, I hope some of our listeners are going to be able to make it to North Carolina, and I know that myself and Aqua Chigger will be there along with Matt and his crew. So look forward to seeing you there for that.
I can give you a little bit of insight on something that we actually just found out today about the North Carolina dig. So I had to go to the landowner. He actually gave us another 140 acres of land that's down the street. And he was telling me about this this house that sits back in the woods on one of the farms. And I remember seeing it when I was a kid. I just always thought it was another sharecropper's house or something. And so today, I'm sitting in his office and he's telling me about this thing that was called, I can't say what the name of it is because you could probably look it up. But it was a club. And apparently it was they did gambling and illegal liquor and, prostitution and all that. And this was the very, very early 1900s into the 1920s. And they had, congressmen and lawyers and judges and everybody else came to this place to play poker and to gamble away and, have fun basically. And, so the guy's telling me the story and he says, he says in like 1922, the feds came to arrest the guy that was had organized this club, and so they took him to court, and he's sitting in the courtroom, and the judge says, "How do you plead?" And he says, "Well, Your Honor, I plead not guilty." And he says, "Well, what do you mean you plead not guilty? Do you say that you weren't running an illegal gambling outfit, in the woods?" And he says, "Well, no, sir. I was doing that, but he said you yourself came and joined in the festivities, and that lawyer over there came and joined in the and half of the police in this room came and joined in the festivities. So how can I plead guilty for something that you guys had fun doing?" And they dismissed the case. So there's
awesome.
that on the property that I had no idea was there.
Wow. Well, Tim had a question. Wants to know what day will that property be available to hunt during the week?
So that'll be the first 2 days.
First 2 days. Okay,
Yep.
Great. Wow, that'll be interesting.
And then
It will be. There's no telling what could be out there. Apparently there was a lake. So this building was built on a lake, and the lake is no longer there. It's just a big dried up hole. It's all woods now. And I can remember that house sitting way up on a hill, and there was like this valley below it. And I was thinking, why would they build this half in that valley? Well, that valley was a lake. So if people like venture out and, can get in there, there's no telling what could be laying in that lake. I mean, guns and coins, pocket watches, who knows?
Oh, man.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see everyone's finds from that. That's so cool.
That is awesome. So Bill had a question for you. Bill Hayes wanted to know, is there going to be a fall dig stock hunt, or when is the Ohio hunt?
So the spring hunt's March 20th through the 25th. The spring hunt is July the 30th in Ottawa, Ohio. And as far as a fall event goes, I have put out some contracts to some landowners, but as of right now, I have not gotten anything back. It is hard to have a fall hunt in this part of the state because of crop seasons and deer hunting and everything else. So we've kind of upped our lease rate to try to offset some of the deer hunters. But if we don't have one this fall, next year when we come back, we'll have a really good one. It just gives us more time to plan.
Right. Awesome.
Very cool.
Well, we're getting close to time being running out of time, and I know there's another podcast right after this. Jeff was in chat a while ago, and he had to leave to go get ready for that. But so can you tell us maybe one of your favorite metal detecting stories, or maybe favorite metal detecting finds and diving type situations?
Yeah. I've been very fortunate. I found a lot of stuff. Probably my favorite, most memorable find, with me personally was about 3 years ago, maybe. It was myself, Thomas, Pete, and we had one more person with us. I can't remember who it was. And we went out to this field that was on a body of water that has seen history from God from like the Viking era. And, we're riding along in the truck, and Pete says, he says, how about that hill out there in that field? And I was like, I found a couple things out there, some, little round balls and furniture tacks, but, not much more than that. And he's like, well, let's just give it 15 minutes. And I was like, okay, whatever. So they all jump out of the truck, and they're like walking across this field. And I said, well, I'm just going to sit here in the truck because I didn't think there was anything out there because I've had, never have much success out there. And so about 15 minutes into it, they're all like jumping up and down out there. So I like walk out there, and they've got a handful of like early pewter buttons. And I was like, damn, this is an earlier site than I thought it was. So I went back to the truck, got the detector, and I flipped it on, and I dug a silver hand-etched 2-row rose cufflink. And I showed it to Pete. Pete was like, oh, man, where there's one, they normally drop the other one. And we all four looked for it for a good hour. And it got dark. We couldn't find it. So we left, and, Pete and the other guy went back home. So me and Thomas went back out the next day. And I flipped it on and started walking across the field back out to the spot. And about 10 minutes into it, I dug the other cufflink, the matching cufflinks. And I've got the two, they're like 1690s to early 1700s silver 2-row rose hand-etched cufflinks. And that's probably one of my favorite finds that I've ever found detecting, out of everything. It's just a really, really memorable experience, and I doubt I'll ever dig anything, that personal or that old again, but you never know.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. Yeah. I know you got another. Go ahead.
Yeah, so then diving wise, that same place that I found the CS tongue, me and Thomas went down, and I got around one of the old bridge pillars, and I'm, moving the rocks around, and I see this, I can't remember if it's a snake or a dragon, but, it was black. And so I rubbed it with my glove, and it was, it was silver. And I was, shining my light on. I was like, damn, that, almost looks like silver. I knew it was silver or pewter. And so I, threw it in my bag, and, I kept looking around, and I didn't think any more of it. And then when I got out of the water, that afternoon, we were laying our stuff out on the tailgate, and I dumped my bag out, and, that thing fell out. And when it hit the tailgate, that's when I knew. I was like, damn, that is actually silver. It just made that sound, and we cleaned it off and got it looking at it. And it's, I guess I can't remember if it's a dragon or a snake but it's a serpentine, side plate that went on like a flintlock musket. And it's, that's to have something like that back then, from my understanding, you had to have a lot of money. You had to be a very important person to be able to afford, flintlock that fancy with like a silver side plate on it. So that's probably one of my favorite diving finds is that silver serpentine side plate.
Wow, that's incredible. Oh. Well, from what I've been seeing in chat, I think you're making everybody want to get into diving.
It's fun now.
Definitely. And I know I do quite a bit of river and water detecting, but not as, I've got the Blue 3 diving thing, a little shallow diving, but it's always been on my bucket list, as well as I know Amanda's. And it's going to happen. It's just been some crazy stuff in our lives these last couple of years. So,
and it's just the same as detecting. I mean, it's this spot that I found the buckle on and the serpentine plate. We've dove on that place with 4 different people. Probably 75 or 100 times. And,
wow.
Every time we go down, we find something new. And, so last year, right at the end of the season, Thomas was like, well, let's go back. And I was like, man, we've like pounded that site, man, to be sure, there's nothing left. And, he's like, well, let's just go back, let's give it an hour. So we go back for an hour, we go down and, start seeing bottles that I didn't see before. And, when I came up that time, it was dark outside. And so I'm like standing at the truck and I hear something out there in the water, somebody yelling. So I didn't know if like Thomas was like drowning or what, and he was yelling for me to like come help him. And so I walk out there to the edge of the water, and here he comes with this 42-inch double-sided porcelain Texaco sign, And I'm like, where the hell did that come from? And he's like, it was just laying out there in the bottom. So, out of that 100 times that we swam through there, none of us saw that giant 40-inch porcelain sign laying there.
Awesome.
Wow.
That's great. Yeah, you just never know, especially you get a hard rain or any of that wash off helps clear some of it.
Yep.
Totally. Wow. Well, unfortunately, we're getting close to the end of time here. Do we have any more questions in chat for Matt before we close it down tonight?
Well, I do have a question for you. So, is there anything you're hoping to find this year that you might not have found yet?
I haven't found like a rifled projectile yet. I haven't found a like a hotchkiss or a parrot or something like that. So I'd kind of like to find a shell from the Civil War, rather than a cannonball. It seems like everything I found has been round and non-explosive. So I would like to find something that's fused. And it might happen this year, it might not. But we've got some places on the map that we're looking for. We think there's going to be a lot there, and hopefully they'll pay off. Hopefully there'll be some of what we're looking for in there.
That's cool. Well, we do like to close usually with one or two questions, and Bill, Ohio Relic Hunter, asked for us to close with our superhero questions. So we might have asked this before, I don't remember, but we'll go ahead and do it now. So, Matt, if you could take on the power of any superhero while you're out detecting and diving, what would that be? And
God.
You would take on all of that. Let's say you put that whatever superpower suit on, and you obtained all that power
while diving.
While diving or metal detecting, whatever.
Well, so I guess if I was detecting, it'd have to be Superman, so I could get from point A to point B like
super fast.
Right. And then if it was, diving, because Superman's got X-ray vision and everything else, so I can see what's under the ground and all that. Right. But then if I was under the water, it would have to be. I'd say it has to be like either the Hulk or Aquaman, just because. Yeah. I see a lot of, big trees and big boulders, and I'd love to be able to, like, move that stuff out of the way to see what's underneath it,
Yeah. And Aquaman, you wouldn't need a tank or anything like that. You could just...
That's right. And then I would look like Jason Momoa, what's better than that?
But, Exactly. Well, Matt, it's been a pleasure having you on tonight, and we want to thank you for being on here for us. And y'all be sure, and now if someone wants to follow you, what's the best place for them to follow you? On TikTok? Is that?
Yep, so follow me on TikTok or Instagram. I'm on YouTube, like I told the girls to start with, but I'm kind of getting off of YouTube and kind of floating towards TikTok. But it's Swamp Critter. Swamp, SWAMP, and then KRTR, all one word. I put a lot of videos on TikTok. I try to post one a day. So, be sure to follow me on there to check out what I'm doing on a daily basis. And I hope to see some of you guys at Dig Stock, and look forward to having a great time.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Matt, and you all have a wonderful evening. We appreciate you being here with us tonight and sticking with us. Thanks for joining us in chat, those of you that joined us in chat. And until next week, happy digging, and good night, all.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.